In this podcast episode, Michael Pollan, renowned author and advocate for food reform, delves into the pressing issues surrounding the modern food system, particularly as highlighted in his recent work, Food Inc. 2. This sequel to the groundbreaking 2008 documentary, Food Inc., aims to expose the deep-rooted problems in the food industry that have only worsened over the years. Pollan reflects on the significant changes in the food landscape since the original film, emphasizing the alarming rise of ultra-processed foods and the consolidation of power within the food industry. Pollan identifies ultra-processed foods as a major scourge affecting public health. He notes that while other countries, particularly in Latin America, have begun to implement warning labels and regulations to combat the consumption of these unhealthy products, the United States has lagged behind. The discussion highlights how ultra-processed foods, which are often engineered to be irresistible, contribute to rising rates of obesity, diabetes, and other chronic health issues. Pollan references research by Carlos Montero, who discovered that the degree of food processing significantly impacts health outcomes. This research culminated in a controlled study by Kevin Hall, which demonstrated that participants consuming ultra-processed diets consumed 500 more calories per day than those eating whole foods. The conversation shifts to the fragility of the food system, particularly exposed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Pollan recalls the early days of the pandemic when grocery store shelves were bare, while farmers were forced to euthanize livestock and dump milk due to supply chain disruptions. This crisis revealed the brittleness of a highly centralized food system that operates on efficiency but lacks resilience. Pollan emphasizes that the consolidation of power among a few large corporations has created a system that is not only vulnerable to shocks but also detrimental to public health. Pollan discusses the political power wielded by the food industry, exemplified by the actions of John Tyson, CEO of Tyson Foods, during the pandemic. Tyson's open letter to the president, requesting the invocation of the Defense Production Act to keep processing plants open, illustrates the extent to which corporate interests can influence government decisions. Pollan argues that this concentration of power undermines the principles of antitrust laws, which were designed to protect the public from overly powerful interests. He expresses concern that the food industry continues to exert significant influence over policy decisions, often at the expense of public health. A significant portion of the discussion centers on the importance of education and cooking in combating the issues within the food system. Pollan reflects on the loss of cooking skills across generations and the impact this has on health and family dynamics. He advocates for initiatives that teach children how to cook and understand food, emphasizing that cooking is an essential act of being human. Pollan shares his experiences with programs like the Edible Schoolyard, which integrates gardening and cooking into school curricula, fostering a connection between children and their food. The conversation also touches on the emerging trend of lab-grown meat as a potential solution to the problems associated with conventional meat production. Pollan shares insights from his visit to Upside Foods, a company specializing in cultured meat. While acknowledging the innovative technology behind lab-grown meat, he raises concerns about the reliance on ultra-processed ingredients and the environmental implications of scaling production. Pollan argues that while lab-grown meat may reduce the need for traditional livestock farming, it does not address the underlying issues of food processing and sustainability. Pollan emphasizes that meaningful change in the food system requires a multifaceted approach, including political advocacy, public education, and a shift in consumer behavior. He believes that the current political climate presents an opportunity for progress, particularly with a growing awareness of food-related issues among lawmakers. Pollan encourages listeners to engage in grassroots movements and advocate for policies that prioritize health and sustainability in the food system.